So let me pull up your stuff here.
Wonderful.
All right. So let's just dive right into the anchor story. So this is I talked about this last time. It's going to be just really helpful when you record your first like solo episode, but it also helps really just solidify like the themes that you want to be talking about and bringing into every guest conversation as well. So that way there's just that congruency over all the episodes. So specifically with you like diving into the guest and all that stuff, one thing that we've noticed is sometimes it's a little bit easy to kind of go into the guest world, right? And be like, oh, what are you doing? And tell me your story and all this stuff. We always want to bring it back to this anchor story. So that way it really is positioning you guys as that authority. It's like you're the host, you're coming into our home. So that's kind of what we're setting up here. So there's 5 steps in the framework that we have. So I'm going to review all 5 steps first, and then we'll do sort of like an interview style of you sharing and then kind of going back and forth from there.
Cool.
So the first one is going to be the before. So what were you struggling with before? This is what makes you relatable. Then we go into the spark. It's number 2. What happened that woke you up or changed you? Number 3 is the shift. That's around like what did you discover, learn, or master from this? Number 4 is going to be the now. So, what's different about this now? And then number 5 is the invitation. How does this story connect to your podcast and the mission? And where are you inviting people to go with you? Less like business wise and like, next step call to action, more so just like what transformation are you inviting them into? Okay. So, we want to tie this to like your own story, your own kind of awareness as the host. And then this is what's going to connect to every guest that you have on. And then this is also like that bridge between you and the listener. Does that make sense?
Yes. Okay. So I do have I did do the exercise for the
Okay,
anchor story. I just
perfect.
I don't know if it's I have to pull it up. I don't know if it's the best story and maybe I can run that by you.
Yep.
Uh
Yeah.
but I just
So
need
pull it up, and then what we really want this to be is we want it to be something that is like on the tip of your tongue at all times. Like this is the thing. So you don't need to memorize it step by step, but I want you to at least know like, okay, these are the 5 phases that I want to kind of that just shares my story and basically like it's like the core, the anchor story of the entire podcast.
Okay, I have all the like in acts, like act 1, act 2, act 2, 3, everything.
Amazing. Okay, so go ahead and just give me, I want you to do like a summary version. And this is where we are going to kind of like workshop this to make sure that it is the most impactful. So just give me, I'll say like, okay, let's start with the before. What were you struggling with? And just give me like 2 to 3 sentences from there, and then we'll kind of see it all come together.
Okay, so and again, I don't know if this is a good story, if this
Yeah,
is the best story to go with, but
yeah, we'll workshop it. All good.
okay, so when I moved to Miami, I had to get a couch for my house. And so I was looking for couches and it took me a long time to find a couch. Everywhere every weekend I was out looking for couches. So much so that I would sit at my dining room table is like my place to relax after a day. And I just moved to Miami and like the stress of everything. And anyway, so I found this furniture store that it was like I'm like at my wit's end. I'm like finally a furniture store that like has a couch that's somewhat in line of what I want. That aesthetically it's beautiful, nice fabric, expensive, but you know what? Like I've been looking for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, whatever it was. I just need a place to like come home to and like sit down after a long day.
Yeah.
So I go, I get there, I sit on the couch. I'm like, this is the one. Lady comes over. I'm like, here, run my card. Let's make it happen, right? She runs my card, and as I'm like sitting on it, I'm like, in the minute that she goes to get the receipt and come back, I'm like sitting on it, and my elbows are like scratching at the fabric, and they feel like raw. And like I look on my pants, and I was wearing black pants, and I have like lint all over my pants. And I'm the kind of person that would go crazy with lint all over my pants. Like it's just, and also like my right here feels like chafed. And she comes back, and I'm like, hey, what's this? And I like point to my pants. She's like, I don't know. I was like, my pants didn't look like this when I got here. She's like, well, we haven't had a problem since. I'm like, well, I'm gonna actually, you know what? I'm not gonna take this couch today. I need a refund because I just don't feel something here feels off. The way it felt, the way it performed. Um, and yeah, and I ended up leaving that place. It was so uncomfortable saying, "Hey, can I get a refund for this a lot of money that I just spent for this couch? I'm not taking it home." And besides the story, I got like a ping for Facebook Marketplace, literally the second I'm like walking out and I get to the elevator. And I ended up being the message for my couch that I love so much. Used, it was like a third of the price of what I was willing to pay, but it's double the size, so much more comfortable. And I don't know if this is a great story, but that's kind of like the gist of it. And I was like, I
Okay.
don't want a place where I'm uncomfortable. It looks amazing, but like it
Yeah,
doesn't function well at all. I'm just gonna
right.
be mad every time I sit on it.
Okay, so the before then, so we're gonna kind of put this all into a
Yes,
framework,
yes,
right?
yes. Okay, cool.
So the before would be the couch looks amazing.
Yeah.
Actually, let's even rewind a little bit more. The before is like frustrated around looking, right?
Right.
Looking for so long.
Stressful job.
The couch looks amazing, but
I knew the vibe I
feels
wanted. Yeah.
feels
And I've
off.
already been so exhausted about looking for couches for the past couple weeks.
Yeah,
Um, and driving all over and yeah, doing
totally. So then let's go into the spark. I would say the spark was then that moment where the spark would actually be that moment where you sat on the couch and you saw the lint on your pants. So it is the time where you
or,
like
or I felt
finally,
raw too. I felt like
yeah.
chafed. Yes.
Okay, so it looks amazing, but it feels awful. Chafing, lint, etc. What I want you to go into, we're going into the psychology of all this, right? So what were you also like feeling emotionally during that time?
So I feel like when she walked away, that was when my time where I was like alone with the couch and I really was able to be introspective and be like, I feel discomfort, like I'm uncomfortable physically. And then when I
Mhm.
saw the lint, I was mad. I'm like, what? No way. Like, hey, Maury, I know you got a busy day, so thanks for jumping in.
Yeah. Hi, more.
It was anger,
So,
it was discomfort, and it was like
mhm.
pain. It was just like frustrating.
So, Licia, the theme that I'm seeing right here is that you finally had the time to take away someone else's perspective and you got into your own experience with it. So it wasn't about this salesperson. It wasn't about how nice it looked. It wasn't about that you're like, oh my gosh, this is a nice couch. I'm going to spend extra. Like, so I should love it. It was like this sort of, it was like a truth moment for yourself. What actually makes me feel good, right?
Regardless of how it looks, because I'm sitting
Yeah.
on it, at that point.
Okay. I'm
Yeah,
taking
if I focus on my home. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was just letting you know. I'm kind of taking notes on this, but do you see how we're just sort of shifting what you're focusing on as the storyteller,
Yep.
and it's going to help the listener kind of step into your story as well. So sometimes it's less about the little details of like the story itself and more so like what were the things that you were kind of experiencing during that time.
Okay.
So we have the before is frustrated, looking around for so long, you're exhausted. Then you finally found the couch. Like
Right.
it's done, complete. Like I should be so stoked, right? Then
Yeah.
the spark is the thing that happened that like woke you up.
Yeah.
It was that moment of coming back to yourself, right?
Right.
It was that moment of
She walked
removing
away.
any other external judgments or and people. And it was really about even removing the story of like this is a really nice couch. I should be grateful. Like when you shared it, I actually heard a little bit of like guilt too. You're like, am I really gonna do this? I feel so bad asking for a refund. So this is kind of all that the spark moment, right?
Right.
Now we go into the shift. So what did you end up discovering? So I'm just gonna have you see if you can say it in like 1 to 2 sentences. What did you discover right after the shift?
That if I bring this couch home and it looks really good, which it will look really good in my house, I will never be able to fully relax.
Hmm.
Like there's always going to be like a tag. It's like like an annoying tag, on the back of your shirt. There's always going to be this like low level of discomfort. And this is something that I actually read in a book. If you're ever going on an interview or a first date or whatever, like high stress situation, you actually should be very cognizant of the fabrics you're wearing and the clothing you're wearing. If your pants are too tight or if your shirt is itchy, there's a low level of discomfort, and part of your brain is actually like focused on that like discomfort where you can't truly show up as your best self because you're just a little bit discomfortable. It's like a low level of stress.
hmm Okay, so here we have like the first like myth that I can see getting busted because most people will say if I don't like this or if I don't feel comfort, then obviously I'm not going to get it. But what you're saying, and this is where we're kind of separating what everyone else says versus you, and this is what's like makes your podcast you stand out as a leader, is that it's not about high levels of discomfort. It's not about just like choose the one that you like versus not like. It's actually about becoming so aware of the low levels of discomfort because that is actually what's going to be running your life, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Whether it's a painting on the wall that like is a sad clown and you got it as like a hand-me-down and you never realize, but it actually makes you sad when you look at it. But maybe on a
Yeah.
tiny little level. And then it's like the cluttered coffee table and the itchy couch and like all these
Mhm.
things add up and you get to
Yeah.
a point where you're just not comfortable in your space.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So now so that's going to be that is the shift, right? And so see how we actually have a pretty core theme happening of
Yeah.
like, okay, frustrated, just wanting to find an option, wanting to wrap things up, right? And we're sort of taking the story out of the context of your story. When you're sharing it, you can insert the I and what you
Sure, sure, sure.
experienced,
Yeah.
but we can already start to see this anchor story is going to be pretty much the same across the listeners, right? This is where they're going to say, this is my story too. I want to learn, right?
Yeah.
So the before is all of that. The spark is realizing that like, I actually don't like this. It doesn't matter what others think. It doesn't matter what even the experts say, which is this is a cool other like little myth buster around you being an expert. It's kind of saying, I'm actually not the expert for what's most important for you. It's about I want to guide you into finding what's going to be most comfortable for you, right? And like that type of shift. So that's the spark. Then actually, yeah, so that's the spark. Then the shift is noticing. Like the shift is let me start to become aware. Let me take the glasses off, the blinders off, so that way I can start to see what else makes me feel discomfortable in my house and start to actually reveal the truth of how comfortable or not I am in my place.
Yep, yep. I love that. Wait, I
So
think
then
you're
the now, what becomes different after that? Oh, there we
um
go. I think I was just,
well, I have a section where it's like, name the pain. I don't know if that's important. And then the now is,
yep. So the pain is going to be sort of connected to the before.
okay, got it. Okay, so then now is really like the application. Is that what we're
Yeah.
talking?
So just let's say, like, just what's different now? Like, what did you end up doing after you said, no, I'm not going to get that couch? So in your story, you said, but then, like, I had this Facebook ad, and then so let's kind of jump ahead into now. What couch do you have? Like, how does it feel?
Okay, so I got a couch that I didn't, that was a ping from Facebook Marketplace, and I got a couch that I did not expect to like it's Facebook Marketplace, it's a shot in the dark, but it ended up being like this really beautiful like velvet couch that's like a big sectional, huge sectional, you can lay out in every direction. The fabric is so soft. And yeah, it's used, okay? And it's not like it doesn't come from like a she showroom in the middle of Miami, but it feels so good and there's room for 10 people. I love to host. I can have people come over and relax and like host a bunch of people, and it enables first of all comfort and relaxation, but also connection, right? That couch might have looked good, but maybe three people could have sat on it, four
Mhm.
maximum. And and it enables like I went for the one that maybe wasn't as fancy, or maybe wasn't as expensive, and maybe was used, and that's okay. I love, a good thrift piece, but and I don't know if I want to mention this or not because obviously I'm looking for like sponsors from furniture
Yeah.
companies, but I ended up going with actually what felt good, even though on paper it may not have been the ideal option.
Yep.
And
Yep. So
it was
yeah,
a shot in the
before.
dark. It was like 2 hours away. I had to get like movers to come get it, and like I hadn't seen it before I bought it, so it was really a shot in the dark.
Yeah, yeah. So, okay, what I would do for you, and this is where, yeah, we don't have to tell every single detail of every story, right? Like, remember that you are the author, you are the
Yeah.
creator. And I say that like it happens in this case, right? That like this is something. Sometimes also there might be like another vulnerable episode that you kind of end up doing. Just
Yeah.
know, like, you do not have to like there's no requirement to be like, I have to tell you every single detail, right? Like
Okay, good.
this truly is still, like you can be vulnerable and real, and it also is a marketing tool. And so there's certain things that you do want to like, yeah, maybe
Yeah.
not share, right? So
That's
for
why
you,
I'm like curious what part of it I should or shouldn't share.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, this is literally what we do with every client, right? Because everyone has something. They're like,
Yeah.
what about this part? And there might be a whole episode that you could do around thrifting. And then you share that story there. You know what
Okay.
I mean? So it's just context.
Okay.
But for instance, like say with this story, we just don't need that detail.
Sure.
Basically,
Okay.
the now would be that you ended up finding the most ideal couch for you that aligns to your values. And you realized, hey, I actually value more the connection versus having something that like looks super fancy. Instead of trying to like, reach this new level of success or whatever via like the way that I'm setting up my space, I actually realized like success to me feel is just looks like being comfortable, having enough room to invite people over, which then fosters more connection in my home that's just fueling me. Right? So that would be the now is like that shift. So it's less about the couch itself, again, like sort of a little bit less about the story itself, more about like really that theme, right? Of coming to yourself and then knowing that you can like find something that is going to be the best fit for you.
Okay.
Um, so now let's go into the invitation. So now how does this story that we just mapped out, we kind of cleaned up a little bit, right? How does
Yeah.
this story connect to your podcast mission and what you're inviting the listener into experiencing?
Okay. It connects to the podcast story because I'm asking the listener to take inventory of their space, not just in how it looks, but how it feels and how it functions and how it well, it also looks a little bit. I'm asking the user, the listener to take inventory of how a space feels before all the other stuff.
Mhm.
Like what it does to them on a like physiological level. What does it do?
Yeah. So I think even being clear around you kind of said it, but it's taking inventory on how the space feels and functions before how it looks. And that might end up being like you could kind of create a little signature thing like FFL, feel, function, look, to put it into something that someone can remember. So the more that you can say things on your podcast that repeat episode after episode and that are memorable that someone else could speak back, the more likely they're going to be in sharing what you're saying. And they're going to have that conversation with their friend and be like, oh, I just heard of this thing like FFL, like feel, function, look. And you like do this little inventory check in your space. Isn't that so cool? Do you want me to send you the episode? And that's how like that organic growth happens really well.
Okay.
You might have experienced that with other podcasts, where
Yeah.
you're like, oh, like it's we have this anchor story, but then there's these little like anchor hook points that are sort of they'll become like Licia-isms sort of thing, right? Um,
Um,
so you can kind of start to track and create some of those. And I would say even just having three would be helpful and never have it be more than 3 points. Keep it
okay.
keep it super simple.
Well,
So that could
well,
be really like the core invitation that your show is always inviting them back to is this like FFL thing.
So one thing that we had spoken about before with Sammy, like before when we were thinking about the show, is like form, function, and feeling, where it kind of like
Mm.
ties in all the things. And that could be
Yeah,
like triple F because form is how it looks, because to an extent you do like humans do crave beauty, right? So how it looks is important, and I don't want to discount that, but
yeah.
it's combined with the function. How does it work and how does it make you feel? So the three Fs, I think, is kind of our like anchor.
I love it. And maybe you switch the feeling to the beginning.
Yeah, or maybe it could be like it's like a you have to get like a like it's like the middle spot of all the form, the function, and
Yeah.
you can't really drop any of those because without one, you kind of lose, yeah. Like if it
Mhm.
looks good and it functions well, but it doesn't make you feel good, then it's a no-go.
Yep. So basically the invitation could be doing inventory on the triple Fs or whatever you're going to
Got it.
call it,
Yep,
right?
exactly. The three Fs of your space.
Yeah. Okay, I love this. Three Fs of your space. And so yeah, and then ideally when they do take that inventory, what is the result that they're going to end up getting?
Um, Creating a space where they like that looks good and functions well, but they also feel good in it. Like it's almost like they level up their life because they're like, um, I want to create some kind of like they show up to their life from a better place because they don't have this like low level of something bothering them. I don't know how to kind of
Yeah.
bring that.
Yeah. Totally. I
I don't
would, yeah, creating a space that levels up their life. I think
right,
that like hits the point. So when you do the inventory of the three Fs in your space, then you will naturally level up your life, right?
right. You don't
Now
have this
there's
like
all these steps in between.
right.
All of
Exactly.
those are going to be the episodes, right?
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
here now we have the core like anchor story that you see these themes, these things, these topics, this is what the whole show is going to be